I promised I'd go through my Thaum build, so I'll do that after some Tiamat runs. Now you guys can actually see what the hell I've been using. Trigger warning, full disclosure, I am building around Tutor. As you saw, we had actually two. We have one per each group in Tiamat, but no matter what, we have 5% CA from Tutor, hence I'm not using the CA boots. Also, you'll notice my power pretty low, but I'm going to be building around Raptor, which gives a total of 18.75% power. So obviously I'm getting 3.75% now, but while I'm in a group with everyone, I get another 15%, so I'm actually overcapped on power, but we don't need to talk about that now, do we? As for everything else, gear, I went the accuracy route because there's no point in using like the crit strike chest piece on Thaum, because Thaum gets a free 10% crit sev from this class feature, and this class feature should never come off because, I mean, every time you crit, you essentially just get rimfire, which is kind of our core mechanic, which ties into the other selections we have, but I'll go over that later. So yeah, that's why I went with the accuracy CHS piece. Also the helmet, this is old from T3s in, what is that called? Avernus, I believe. It's essentially, this gives me 7.5% power. Chest piece gives me another accuracy. Give me 7.5% accuracy, 7.5% accuracy. So, I mean, essentially add 15% to my accuracy. I said around 56%, and that's using squash soup, so not the highest you've ever seen, but I mean, I'm using a summon comp, so c'est la vie. Combat advantage, I get 7.5% from my chest piece, and like I said, I get 5% from the tutor in our group, and if the HRs are feeling generous, we get another 5% from Aspect of the Pact, which is a class feature on the HR. Arms, there's essentially two routes you go with arms, right? Either use arms for power, as like wrist guards or precipitation, but because we're using Raptor, obviously we don't need power. In fact, we're trying to dump power from every single source, so we just went with the damage arms. You hit a target 5 times, you get 5 stacks of, you essentially get 5% DR, and then whenever you get hit, it turns into 5% damage. In Tiamat, you probably noticed you get hit by DOTs all the time, so you're constantly taking damage and reapplying the stacks over and over. So I don't know what this averages out to, but at the end of the day, it's a damage buff. We're damage whores. That's why I use it. These come from the hunts. These come from the hunts. These come from, what was that, mod 20 hunts? But there's also another accuracy helmet. There's this one, but it's stamina based, and I mean, I used my dash all the time in Tiamat, so I wouldn't rely on it, but you can buy this for seals, like from the seal vendor, so I mean, it's very accessible, and obviously it's higher item level, but I mean, it is, strictly speaking, worse, because you're using your stamina all the time. Boots, hot take, I've never taken off rusted iron leggings. You know what? They're just good, and like I was saying to Bump in her runs, I have it reinforced with Claw Baphomet. Not a lot of people have that. It's from a very, very old pack. Don't ask me where, you can't get it anymore. I forget where I got it. But it's 5% damage against dragons. So essentially, these boots are giving me 10% damage against Tiamat, or the dragon in Crown of Kekleon, or whatever it's called. So, I mean, literally no other boots in the game can justify me losing 10% damage against dragons. Well, it's 5% against everything, 5% against dragons, but yeah. Our group also uses masterwork, so this is 10% damage, 10% DR, and 10% outgoing healing to everyone. If you're in a coordinated group, no reason not to use them. Probably another hot take, but I'm using the demo set. This is strictly speaking for Tiamat. Tiamat, for whatever reason, was designed where you don't have guaranteed combat advantage on the dragon heads or the claws or the chest, which is why we use Black Death Scorpion to guarantee combat advantage. However, if the Black Death Scorpion isn't using his attack, we don't have CA. That's why, like in those Tiamat runs, you saw me wait to do the artifact call until I knew the Black Death Scorpion hit the head, we had CA, then I would do the artifact call, then we'd try to burn, right? All that rambling is to say, we don't have CA all the time. That's why I'm not using the Mythalar set. In any other environment like Zerial, Thaum, I would absolutely be using this set, but in Tiamat, I've just, you know what, Xbox testing, whatever you want to call it, but I've just performed better with Demo. Not to mention, Demo is a 18% debuff, and obviously that's good, and if I'm on Demo, I can keep my book set as well, so I have two sets going at the same time. So, I don't know. That's probably a hot take. A lot of people disagree with that, but that's what I'm running. Rings, Band of Air, hasn't been nerfed yet, so we're still using it because it's like 15, 16, almost 18% of our damage, so no reason not to. Maybe even another hot take. I don't know how many hot takes I'm going to have. It's just a spicy hot build, I guess, but I'm not using the Dragon Ring. A lot of people are going to tell you to get this ring because it's 10% damage against dragons. You know what? They're probably right, but I'm a stats kind of guy, and because I'm using a summon companion, I really like the stats provided from it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're comparing 7% crit versus 10% damage against dragons. First half, well, I wouldn't say half. The first third of the trial is like Severin and then a whole bunch of adds defending the clerics. None of those are dragons, so essentially the dragon ring only kicks in until you get to the claw, and then everything afterwards obviously a dragon. So essentially you're comparing 10% damage to 67% of the trial versus 7% crit, which is more or less always on if you have a healer like Naboo or Freya or Venom. Shoutouts to the squad. But yeah, I mean, this is essentially always on, so I don't know. I prefer it, but I have dicked around with the other ring. Obviously I have it, but I don't know, I prefer stats. Shirt, this never comes off because it's just 5% CA. I guess if you're using the CA boots, you can go for the shirt and pants. A little set bonus, I guess, but I'm using the new pants just because they give you AP. Okay, this page might be a little weird to some of you because no one plays Thaum anymore, but I'll try my best to explain what is going on and why this is a poorly designed paragon. However, it still performs well anyway. So the first couple encounters, I'm sure everyone's familiar with because they're also on Arcanist, right? So we have Entangling Force and Repel, both 500 magnitude, both arcane powers. They're nice, right? On the other side, we have some Thaum exclusives. Icy Rays. Now this thing is a very hard-hitting encounter. Essentially, you press the button, it marks the target, and then you press it again, it like double hits it. And if you mark and then hit the target, like you use both button presses on the same target, it has 720 magnitude. That's substantially higher than what we're used to on Arcanist, right? Like this is 450, this is 500, this is 500, and this one just jumps up to 720. I also have it on Mastery for another 10%. It's looking pretty thick, right? But it gets better. And then we also have Chill Strike, which is just a 575 magnitude, which is not bad. Daily, Ice Knife is sadly all we have. For whatever reason, it only has 1800 magnitude. No idea why, because other classes have dailies, ranging from 2000 up to like 2400. So I don't know why ours is so low, but whatever. And then Oppressive Force for AoE section. You see me spamming that in the cleric section the entire time. What's cool about this is its interaction with a feat I'll be talking about later, but I'm going to spend a lot of time on that. The main mechanic for Thaum, though, is essentially Smolder and Rimfire. So essentially, your fire abilities, like Scorching Burst, Fireball, whatever, will apply Smolder, and then if you use like your, chill abilities, it will turn that Smolder into Rimfire, and then we'll have some interactions with feats down below. We're essentially going to ignore most of that because it got nerfed to the point where it really doesn't contribute at all to our damage. It has one interaction that we care about, and that is this feat here, Rimfire Weaving. Essentially, if the target has Rimfire on it, it will take 10% more damage from you. That's nice, that's cool, but that's essentially all we care about Rimfire in this build. That's it, that's all we care about.
You might be noticing, official, you don't have any, fire abilities. How are you proccing Smolder?
Well, that's why this class feature never comes off. Essentially, whenever you crit, you apply Smolder. So say you're holding down our favorite at-will Ray of Frost, and you crit, you apply Smolder, but hold on, wait a second, Ray of Frost is also a cold ability. So you essentially automatically are applying Rimfire just right off the bat. You at-will the target, and essentially boom, they have Rimfire on. That's why this class feature is so good. It also gives you 10% crit sev for free, which is fantastic, which is, of course, why I'm using the accuracy combat advantage chess piece instead of the crit sev chess piece. And of course, it interacts beautifully with this feature here. They just take 10% more damage. That's why you will always start your rotation by just holding down Ray of Frost. The other one, you know what? You can make an argument for Swath of Destruction. I'm not convinced it works. They're supposed to, basically, if someone's affected by Smolder, they take 2% damage, 2% more damage from everyone, which obviously, I mean, it's a very easy argument to say, well, if everyone's doing 2% more damage, like that's a good group buff, right? I'm not fully sure that this works, and also I'm a DPS whore, so I'm just using Chilling Presence for a personal 3% damage bonus. Hate me in the comments if you want, I don't care, whatever. This is what I'm using. For feats, honestly, neither are great. Smoldering Recovery is so negligible, you will not notice the AP gain, so definitely do not take this one. As for Relative Haste, it slightly increases your recharge speed. It's only for, see, that's what I'm saying. It's got some weird interactions, right? Like it only buffs wizards. Like I don't think this is working properly. That's why I don't use it. But I mean, if you're in a run full of wizards, why not? But yeah, as for feats, Relative Haste is the only one worth choosing. I mean, neither are great, but I mean, it slightly increases your cooldown rate, and I mean, wizards are all about spamming counters, so it helps. Again, neither of these are too hot, I'll be honest, but I choose Icy Veins. Basically, whenever you activate Encounter Power, it applies Chill, so even if you're using like your arcane powers, you're still applying Chill, so obviously it interacts nicely with like Chilling Presence. It's also cool for AoE because it's with everyone within 15 feet. So even if I'm using an arcane power, everyone within 15 feet gets affected by chill. So it's cool for the AoE section. And here, this right here, Shatter Strike, is why Thaum is competitive. Now, the main mechanic of Thaumaturge is Smolder and Rimfire. However, Rimfire accounts for like 2% of our damage, and I think that's being generous. Shatter Strike, however, is just one feat, and it's between like it's almost 10% of our damage. And I'm just gonna go and hit a dummy and show you why this is good. But essentially, all you need to care about is the second paragraph. It's essentially saying, additionally, your control powers deal an additional 150 magnitude against control immune targets. Every single boss in this game is control immune. Every single one of these encounters that I chose is a control power. This is a hold, if you will. This is a push. This is a stun. This is a stun. So that's essentially adding 150 magnitude to all 4 encounter powers. Now, if we go, go hit a dummy, we're gonna have to experience a loading screen here. Awesome. Too quick. Here we go. I'm gonna bring up the log here. What's cool is Icy Rays. We go here. Shatter Strike, Icy Rays, Shatter Strike. So Icy Rays, because of its weird, like you have to press it twice, like 1, 2, it actually procs Shatter Strike twice. So for those keeping track at home, that's an additional 300 magnitude onto an already 720 magnitude power. So just to go over it again, this is 150 magnitude. We procced it twice. 150 times 2, 300. If this hits the same target twice, that's 720. So boom, you're already looking at a 1020 magnitude for an encounter power, mind you. Also, it's on mastery for an additional 10%.
this hits like a truck, especially in a debuff window. And then, I mean, you can take my word for it, I already left the training room, but all of these also proc Shatter Strike, so essentially just add 150 magnitude onto each power. Very, very, very good. Okay, Shatter Strike is Thaumaturge's bread and butter. Abuse this, like, and you know what? You're golden. Also, Oppressive Force. I don't know why you would use an AoE daily against a control immune target like a boss, but I believe Oppressive Force, oh shit, don't quote me on this. I think it ticks 5 times, maybe? And each tick of it procs Shatter Strike, so I think it procs it 5 times. So it's 5 times 150 plus the, 750 or 375 magnitude. Obviously, Ice Knife is better. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying use Oppressive Force on bosses. I'm just saying it's a cool interaction, you know? So for example, like Night Spine on the left side in Tiamat is control immune. All of the ads around it aren't. So you're Shatter Striking the Night Spine while also hitting all the other ads. It's a cool interaction. Frigid Winds. It looks almost identical to Chilling Presence because, well, you know it is. It's every time you have chill, you gain 1.25% damage. It's X 6 times because we get 6x chill. This is 7.5% damage. This is 3% damage. So we get 10.5% damage when we apply 6x of chills to our targets. That's, so essentially I'm buffing myself to do 10% more damage. And if we have Rimfire on the boss is taking an additional 10% damage. Of course, that stacks with all the other debuffs we're using in the debuff window, and this stacks with all the other buffs we're using. And we just went over like the higher magnitudes that Thaum has. So this is where I'm kind of just trying to emphasize that Thaum just has better burst damage. Obviously, the sustained damage and the fact that you're not allowed to charge your daily back with just spamming Storm Pillar, but Thaum has potential, and it's really slept on, so just trying to highlight the importance of this page. Getting distracted by Twitch chat, that's fine. This Boon page, I'm just showing it so people stop accusing me of being a legacy, because I'm not. I wish I was, I'm not. But Bloodlust is the only thing on this page that actually makes a difference. Bloodlust procs Band of Air, so I mean, use it. I'll just go over tier 5 because I guess it's kind of important. I'm using the 4% AP, 4% recharge speed. Everything else is just kind of how you want it. Things of note, movement speed's always cool. Lingering Medicine if you're not using Hellstones, that's cool. And then, yeah, that's really it. Boons, oops. I'm a bot, I'm sorry. I'm using the Crit Strike Boon, Defense Boon, and Revive Sickness because I'm not great at the game and I go down. However, if your guild, I'm going to share a dirty little secret here. You may know it, may not. If your guild has Treasure Boon and you put it on, take it off, you gain 1,000 to every single stat. I don't know why, but if you see me doing that in runs, that's why I'm doing it. You gain 1,000 of every stat. Is it significant? No. Do I build around it? No. Am I a sweat? Yes. People ask me, why do certain players just, do more damage? It's just a whole bunch of like unknown shit like that. You know what I mean? Like there's just a whole bunch of teeny tiny little things that add up, and that's just one of them. I'm exposing a secret here. If it gets fixed, I don't care. It's insignificant, but there it is. Companions, hate me all you want. I don't care. I'm using a summon companion, and as you see from the name, Una bought it for me. He asked me to test it. I've been really enjoying it in Tiamat, and I mean, you guys saw the runs. I think I've been doing quite all right on a otherwise underperforming Paragon. I've been rocking Succubus. If you don't have one, you don't have someone like Una to buy one for you, I completely understand. Other options I was testing with. Everyone hypes up Pseudo Dragon. I did not like it in Tiamat. I'm sure it's great in Thaum and Zerial and maybe even Cock, but I didn't like it in Tiamat at all. What I did like, however, is I really liked Regis, especially because our group kind of struggles with the AoE section in Tiamat, and then once we get to the heads, we're chilling. But so Regis just has good AoE. Essentially, his like power attack is essentially the TR daily that they use in AoE. So
That's why I called him Budget TR, because that's exactly what he is. Another notable one would be, of course, oh, there she is. This, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, Shatter Kai Witch, there it is. She's just solid. And she's like, she fires like a slow moving ball, and essentially on really large targets, that ball just slowly travels through the target. And because it travels so slowly and certain bosses are really, really big, it ticks numerous times. That's why in like cock runs and stuff, you'll see people using this companion in particular, because the dragon is just so fucking massive, and like her attack is so slow that like as it's traveling through the boss, like it's ticking over and over and over. Like normally on like small enemies, it will tick like once or twice, right? But like on the big dragon, it'll tick like 22 times or something like that, right? Like so yeah. So in Tiamat specifically, I like Regis and the Witch, but obviously I've been using Succubus, and that is my favorite if you have an unlimited budget or just a sugar daddy. Comp gear, I'm using all the new ones, accuracy, crit save. Obviously, I don't think there's any rune stone choices anymore, so 150% comp damage. Precision, this is kind of where I'm getting crit strike from. I'm getting 7.5% crit strike there, and then another 7 from my ring. That's just more or less all I have. I'm only using 2 damage comps because we're using Raptor in our group, so you kind of have to sack a damage comp to get Raptor, but like I said at the start, it's 18.75% damage if everyone's using it. It's too good not to if you're in a coordinated group. It's just a lot of stat. But yeah, my 2 damage comps of choice: Vatiri, 11.25% damage against bosses. Dragon's Bane, 11.25% damage against dragons. And then my other 2 flex picks, defense slot is Space Spider for crit and CA, and utility I'm using Golden Cat. But Golden Cat can actually go in any slot, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, obviously if you're not using a summon comp, you'll have a lot more stats to mess around with, and you can get away with using 3 or 4 damage comps, the other 2 being Neverwinter Night and Minsk. Yeah, I agree, but then you're losing. Oh, sorry, I'm talking to chat. But yes, I agree. Yeah, I could do that, but then I'm losing the procs from demo. As for mounts, Toad, you can also use Tunnel Vision. You can also use the Golden Warhorse. They all have 3,000 magnitude. Used in the debuff window, it will have Vermilions. And then Ferocity, because it procs Band of Air, and we're still abusing that until it gets nerfed, which it will next mod, I believe. Insignia bonuses, the 2 important ones, obviously you want 2 Warlords for a total of 30% damage to your companion, your striker, well, if you're using a summoned, as I am. 20, it's not 20 plus 20, they have diminishing returns, so it's actually like 50% for every like subsequent bonus of the same type. So this is 30%, which stacks on with this 150%. Also, companions buff are subject to the damage buff from masterwork, so they actually get another 10% there, which is kind of cool. Then I'm using 2 combatants maneuver. This is a total of 3750 combat advantage stat. So obviously my count advantage is looking a little low, but if you add 7.5% from the chess piece, 3.75% from the combatant's maneuver, which Ray of Frost works and procs, and then also I'm getting 5% from tutor, and if the HRs are feeling nice, 5% from aspect of the pack. It's looking kind of juicy, right? And then just 1 Assassin's Covenant for free stats, because we don't care about defensive stats, we're squishy DPS. I guess I'll go over enchantments, because someone's going to ask. I just use all crit enchantments to cap my stat, and then in the defense slot I use defense. Utility is Forte. I use recharge speed. Poison Thorn, and then for overloads, always double precision no matter what you're doing. And then for Tiamat specifically, I use Dragon Slayer, which comes from the Stronghold, 10% damage against dragons. In other content, obviously you can use Rage of Flames, which is 5% damage against everything. But yeah, it's up to you. I think that's it.